My name is Agnes Kariuki, Sustainability Manager at Safaricom, and I'm just going to give you a few highlights of our 14th Sustainable Business Report. So in the report, we highlight the key achievements. So we highlight it under, as you have been told, the purpose strategy, but the other thing is that we look at what are the key achievements under environment, under social, and under governance. And just to give you a snippet of what those highlights are. So under environment, as you've been told, we want to be net zero by 2050. So the key projects that we are looking at then to ensure that we are net zero by 2050 is, first of all, transitioning our network to renewable energy. So we have about 1432 sites that are currently running on solar, and that accounts for about 22% of our energy mix at Safaricom. Then we are also looking at for the emissions that we cannot offset by transitioning to solar, how do we cater for that? So we are looking at growing trees in public degraded forest, and from the inception, we've been able to grow 2.3 million trees. And we are targeting 5 million by 2030. And then when we look at how we manage our operations, the impact we have to the environment, then we are looking at how do we manage waste from our operations. So here we have about a 99% recycling rate. And when you think about our recycling rate, then you're thinking about not only the solid waste, but as a technology company, then we are thinking about the e-waste that we generate. How many mobile phones are there in your desk that you're not using? What can you do with them? So we are doing e-waste recycling. And for that, we've done about over 190 tons of e-waste. Our network waste, our network infrastructure, what happens when the 2G network becomes obsolete? So we are looking at embedding circularity in all our operations. Then the third highlight under environment is we are looking at how do we restore and conserve biodiversity. So when we talk about restoring and conserving biodiversity, in addition to the trees, then we are looking at what are the endangered species that we have within Kenya. And one of them that you will find is the Rowan antelope that is found in the Ruma National Park. So when we began, there were about 15, and now they've grown to almost double that number in the phase that we are currently in. Then moving on to the social aspects. So we are key in terms of ensuring we have diversity, not only in our workforce, but also in the ecosystem. So we are talking about women suppliers, we're talking about the agents that we deal with, we're talking about all the stakeholders that we are working with at Safaricom. And so for each of those ecosystem stakeholders, then we are looking at 50-50 diversity across, whether it's at the board employee, whether it's women suppliers that we are working with in our ecosystem. Then when we talk about the other social angle that we're looking at, remember we are transitioning to be Africa's leading purpose-led technology company by 2030. So you cannot be a technology company if you're not putting affordability, accessibility, and inclusivity in terms of the smartphones that we have. So we are driving that by affordability of the smartphones that we have. And so far, we have about 1.26 million devices sold through our flagship program for Lipa Mdogo Mdogo that allows you to afford a smartphone by paying in installments. Then under financial inclusion and health, then we are looking at beyond giving you the ability to transact with M-Pesa. How can you go beyond and save, for example, and invest and insure? So that's why you have products like ZD. Or how do you even start it from a younger age? That's why you have products like M-Pesa Go. Then under social investments, that's through our foundations, then we are looking at 3 areas of the SDGs. That's in health, that's SDG 3, education, that's in SDG 4, and I think key to look out for in education is the Citizens of the Future program that looks at how do you enhance the infrastructure across all the 47 counties in Kenya. And then the other SDG we're looking at in the foundations is SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth. That's under social. Then giving you a snippet on governance, it's important for us that we are able to do the right thing and that we are doing the right thing across the whole ecosystem. So how do we do that? So we have, for example, 98% of our staff being trained on ethics, because you have to start internally by doing the right thing and equipping people to understand what it means to do the right thing. So we have 98% of our staff being trained on ethics across the business. And we extend that also to our suppliers, agents, and dealers. Then the other key thing we are looking at is being more transparent. And so remember, the sustainability reporting frameworks are changing and the regulation is changing in Kenya. So what we are looking at is enhancing that reporting framework by now integrating. We used to use a standard called the Global Reporting Initiative, that's GRI. But now what you'll find in our report is that we've started integrating the framework that has been embraced by ISPAC in Kenya. It's called IFRS. So IFRS S1 and S2, as we look ahead to it being implemented by 2027 in Kenya. So for us also the key governance thing, another governance aspect is trust. And we've looked at how do we ensure that we are able to protect your data as a customer. And so we've gone the step further to be the first telco to be able to do the ISO 27701 that talks about how we are able to enhance the protection of the data that we have for our customers and our stakeholders. So that's really important. And as we look towards 2030, then our aim is to be able to report transparently on the good, the bad, and the ugly. So in the report, you'll find that for every aspect that we've reported on, and we'll compare that against a 4-year analysis, you'll find that we have told you this one we did well compared to last year, this one we've done worse than last year. So for example, as we expanded our network last year, you will find that we were to reduce our emissions, but you find that we had an increase of 11% between our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. Of course, then we still have mitigation measures in place to ensure that we are able to reduce those emissions. And that's what we are talking about, accelerating the solar PV net across our network. So I'll challenge you to read the report word for word. I know Kenyans don't like reading, but try and read the report. It's a good read for you.
Maybe the key question is, this is the 14th report.
Yes.
How has your approach to sustainability changed over that time based on lessons you've learned in the last 13 reports?
Okay. And that's a good question, because if you go to our website, you'll find all the 14 reports for over the 14 years. And from reading the reports from 2012, the first one, up to now 2025 report, then you'll see the growth trajectory as we've gone about. So in the first report, it looked more like a CSR report. You know, CSR reports give a good feel kind of story. But that's not sustainability. Sustainability talks about even your challenges. And so over the years, then you'll see that as we've gone through changes, learning from even global best practices, then the report has transitioned over time to report more transparently, to have more inclusions, more disclosures. And even as investors are asking us for more and more disclosures, then you'll find that every year we keep adding more and more disclosures. And you will keep finding us being more and more transparent, because it's not about telling a good story. It's about telling the impact that you're making, and then seeing how can you bring other corporates to work together. Because what's the aim of sustainability? Sustainability is about how you're using the resources you have now without impacting the generation that is coming. Because if you use all the natural resources now, then what will you leave for the future generations? So it's not only a Safaricom role. It's for all corporates, it's for all individuals. And so for us, reporting is not about telling the good story. It's about making everybody aware of how they can contribute to the sustainability of the world.